Uh, testing, testing. Can you guys hear me? I think we're live. Let me know in the comments, in the chat. Can you hear me as I take a sip of my coffee? Somebody, let me know if can. Come on. Can you hear me? Nobody in the chat. Hold on. Hi. Yes. Yes. Okay. Good deal. Okay. So we're gonna wait for a few seconds, let some people come in. But I just want to first say thank you so much for being here to the second official Pete and Pedro live stream. First one was so awesome, and you guys dug it so much, and I actually enjoyed doing it that I was like, you know what? Let's roll the dice. Let's do it again. What up, Ryan? Good to see you, the well-rounded dude, Johnny Sins. Why do I think you're not actually the real Johnny Sins? You may be. If you are, congratulations. Chef Muppet, Sanskar, what's happening? Zagscorn, good to have you, brother. Well-rounded dude. Let me see who else is there. Robert, good to see you. Ireland, I love it. I love it. Where we got some people from Ireland. Oh man, oh man, oh man. So I'm pumped about some stuff that we're going to talk about today. I got some updates. I got some tips. I've got some exciting things to tell you guys and talk about. You guys are getting a little behind the scenes action because you are here, you are with us, and you're part of this amazing community. And I want to tell you about something that I'm going to tell you in a second that's even more amazing, other than my voice. All right. The other thing I'd like to say right now is my voice is jacked. Why? Because in Atlanta, if you guys have ever been in Atlanta in springtime, you look around and everything is yellow. It's like it's yellowish green. And the reason is because the pollen count here gets so crazy, right? And the thing that really like makes me go like, wait, what's going on here? So you guys that suffer from seasonal allergies, right? You guys, and this is a little off topic, but for you guys that suffer from seasonal allergies, right? This time of year, like you'll look to see, like, okay, what's the pollen count, right? And the range basically goes from like 0, which is like no pollen, to like I don't know, like 500. That's like really like max pollen. The pollen count here in Atlanta literally gets to 9,000. And so I'm thinking to myself, wait a second. If the scale can go up to 9,000, right? And that's what we're dealing with here in the ATL, why doesn't the range go up to like 10,000? Like it just doesn't make sense to me. Why is 500 high if we get to 9,000 here? Anyway, I'm just saying that's a little something that always just makes me go, wait, why? It doesn't make any sense. Do you guys suffer from allergies? Got that sexy husky voice? Yeah, Robert, my voice, nobody has ever accused me of having a sexy voice. Funny story, true story. Growing up, right? My voice has actually, I think, gotten deeper as I've gotten a little bit older. Because when I was younger, right, even if you go back to my early YouTube days, right, you watch some of those early videos, and I literally am like, I almost have like a high pitched voice. Now, I've always like talked loud and yelled and stuff like that. But when I was growing up, when my grandfather would call and I'd answer, I'd be like, hello. He'd say, hey, Susan, which is my mom. I'm like, pop up, it's Aaron. He goes, oh, sorry. I always get it confused. I'm like, I know why you get it confused because I've got a girly voice. Anyway, my voice, it is, I've never been accused of having a sexy voice. But what's up, Johnny Tran? Good to see you, man. How's everything going? Edward, good to see you. Hey, from Colorado. Oh, you want to hear something funny? I promise I'm going to talk about grooming in a second. I was in Aspen, Colorado, about 3 weeks ago. Maybe it was, yeah, 3 weeks ago. And it was for my wife. My wife loves snow, right? I grew up in Philadelphia, so I have got like I'm good with snow. I don't want any more snow. And when it snows here in Atlanta, everything shuts down. It's a mess, right? But she's a Southern girl, right? Southern belle, and so she's like, "Hey, I want to go in winter to somewhere where there's snow." And so I was like, all right, where do you want to go? And so we've already been to Colorado. We've been to Boulder. We've been to Breckenridge. We've been to Denver. But she was like, can we go to Aspen? And I'm like, Aspen, just the only thing I think of when I hear Aspen is Dumb and Dumber. You guys know that quote? Like, hey, Lloyd, we're going somewhere. I forget. Harry, we're going somewhere warm. We're going what is it? Where the salmon, where beautiful women flock like the salmon of Capistrano and the beer flows like wine. Anyway, so we go to Aspen. Let me tell you something. I have never felt more poor and uncool like when I went to Aspen. My wife and I get there, and let me just tell you, The price in Aspen of everything, including houses, is absolutely like it's not even in this like stratosphere. It is so crazy. The people are so like, I don't know. Anyway, Colorado is amazing. It is beautiful. Aspen was incredible, enchanting even. But man, I couldn't wait to get home to Marietta, where I live and I love, to be around normal folk like me. What's happening? Rick Novak, good to see you. Anyway, exact same thing. Yeah, Dumb and Dumber. Exactly. Aspen. That is a great, great, great quote. All right. So we got a few people in here. Good to see everybody. Doing great. Johnny Tran, you were actually on the Alpha M project. You guys want the Alpha M project to come back? I want the Alpha M project to come back. But man, it's really hard to do. And it also is really expensive, but I miss doing that. All right, Andrew, good to see you, Andrew Wilson. All right, so here's the deal. Let's talk a little bit. A few things I want to talk about. All right, we got about an hour here. After this, I'm going to go pick up or not pick up. I'm going to go see my cat who's in the emergency vet for a clogged urethra. Once again, more information than you guys need. Yeah, but I know what this alpha. Yeah, 100% exactly. The poll. Don't even run that. I know what's happening. All right. So first, I want to tell you something. Super pumped. We just found out yesterday. All right. Oh. Before I even get to that, while we do these live streams for the next literally like 2 hours or 3 hours, however long we keep this up, I got a special deal for you guys, right? It's just for you that are watching this. 25% off at Pete and Pedro site wide, whatever you want. If you use the code, what is it? Best Fans 25. Did you hear that? Use the code Best Fans 25. Anything that I may talk about, you want to grab, do it. Or if you're already a Pete and Pedro fan, you're like, yo, I'm running low on sea salt spray or putty. Do it. Now is the time because you're getting 25% off. Or you may want to grab something that we just found out we were best in class. All right. So, yes. Thank you, Pete and Pedro. Moderate. Yes. Best Fans 25. No question mark. Just Best Fans 25. Because I truly feel, if I'm being honest, you guys are the best fans in the world. I can't even like stand it, right? When I think about like where I started with Pete and Pedro, like it's unbelievable to where we've gotten. And it's not because like I'm super smart. I'm actually a pretty dumb guy. I do have some smart people that are around me. What's up, Levy? Zag Scoring, good to see you. Anybody else from Pete and Pedro that's watching this? You guys are amazing and you're brilliant. I am a dummy. But what's happened is because I've surrounded myself with good people and we've created amazing, fantastic products, you guys are rocking it. You guys are loving it. And we are growing. And it's all because of you. It's not because of me, because like I said, I'm a dummy. But one thing that I'm really good at is knowing when we nail a formulation. I also know more than 99.99999% of dudes on the planet about ball powder. Period. I've tried them all, right? I've tried chassis. I've tried, all the ball of powder. Like I've tried them all, right? Because from a very young age, I realized the importance of having fresh smelling nuts, right? It's critical because it gets funky down there, right? It gets a little bit hot and sweaty and all that nasty stuff. And when you have dark, damp, hot, sweaty place, what happens? Bacteria forms, and then it smells like you take your hand, you drag it next to your like boys and give it a sniff. Is it fresh? If the answer is yes, you're probably using the Pete Major powder. If the answer is no, then you need to listen up. Here's the deal. Just yesterday, we were informed that our boys are the freshest and the best in the business. Why do I say that? Because the website Ask Men, it used to be like super crazy popular. It's still a really popular website. Anyway, it's all for men, right? And it's been huge for years. When I was just coming up with YouTube and YouTube, Ask Men was like the place where guys went to basically figure stuff out. They had great writers. They had a lot of great stuff. And so Ask Men to me is sentimental. It's also, I feel like one of the leaders in terms of just like men's stuff, right? They've been around for a long time. So anyway, a lot of these websites, GQ, Esquire, Ask Men, like wherever, Maxim probably even has it. They're actually not talking about grooming products. So anyway, so they have these awards, right? The annual like grooming awards. Well, some of these places you can pay to get on the list, right? It's like, oh, like they'll send an email like, hey, would you like to be featured in whatever, whatever? And we've always been like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to pay for placement. It just seems a little bit like cheesy. And honestly, I'm cheap. Like when it comes to spending money on advertising and stuff like that, I am cheap. I do not believe that like these websites will drive traffic, right? Because, when it comes to business, you really got to pay attention to where you're spending money, right? And advertising on a website just to have like your page up there or a logo or whatever sucks. Like I've tried it. Tej Hanley, we have tried everything. Pete and Pedro, we've tried a bunch. And I can tell you that even getting in like GQ magazine, you think, oh, you're going to have all this traffic. You're going to have all this awareness. No. Like, can I curse on this thing or no? Can I curse? The powder is crazy good. Just wait for it, John. So here's the deal. Long story short, we got a note or an email yesterday said, Pete and Pedro, we would like to officially congratulate you. Your powder, the fresh Pete and Pedro powder, has won the best ball powder of 2024. We got this email. You would have thought that I won the lottery, right? I was so pumped to get this award because honestly, like Pete and Pedro is kind of like a quirky, like kind of up and coming brand. Now, the truth is that we've grown a lot bigger than a lot of these other brands that are on the market. And when you look at a lot of these award lists, right, some of the things you've heard of, right, a lot of them you have, but some of them you haven't. And so when we got the note that Pete and Pedro powder was on it, and it is what they considered, and the way that they do it, they've got like these experts and they tell us like who they are, the writers for Ask Men. They basically like go through and they like just buy a bunch of different products and then they test them. They test them for scent, they test them for like, efficacy. They test it all, right? Now, am I bummed that we didn't win any hair products yet? Yes, but we'll get there. We're a small brand, but we can say 100% that our balls are the freshest balls in the business. And so it's also talc free, which is another thing. You got to make sure that when you're using a powder, you got to have talc free powder, because if not, what happens is when you use talc, talc is bad for your body, right? Do a little Google search for talc cancer. I'm not saying it's going to make your testicles fall off, but just do a search. You're not probably going to feel super comfortable using it. And with the summer coming up, you definitely are going to need some type of powder because you're going to be sweating your butt, right? Swamp ass, another thing that's not sexy if you got that streak of wetness running up your butt, right? Anyway, the talc powder is really bad for your body, right? It also, when it starts to heat up, like if you just put like baby powder or what 99% of these other powders on the market, like Bala and all these like Fresh Goods and all these powders, right? When you actually put it like in something or around something, your balls, and it starts to heat up and get sweaty, it becomes like a talky, milky, like paste in your pants. And if you actually have ever tried it, right? Look, at the end of the day, when you put on talc powder, pull your junk to the side and look what's hanging out in between your leg and your balls. It is a white, funky, nasty, disgusting thing, right? And so if anybody's down there saying, yo, what's up? The Big Al or whatever, right? It is so gross. It is ridiculous. But boom, our talc-free powder, best in the business, does not do that. It just keeps you dry, fresh all day long. Anyway, you want to check it out? Like I said, Best Fans Ever is going to give you 25. Best Fans 25 is going to give you 25% off. You may also want to use it for something else that I am very sad to talk about. You guys doing good? Let me, I'm wearing baby donkey logos. Good. I'm reading some of these comments. Yeah, I was thinking. Oh, and the other thing is we're going to get to the point here in a little bit where I am going to open it up for questions, right? So if you guys have questions about hair, about grooming, about personal life, like whatever, you can ask me anything. I am a pretty much open book. All right. Something else I got to be open with, unfortunately, is the end of a fragrance at Pete and Pedro. Hero. We only have a few bottles left. And the deal is, this was inspired. For you guys that don't know, all of our fragrances are inspired by fragrances that I just absolutely love, right? Fragrances that I get compliments on. I don't really care about like, the house of this or that or whatever. I want to smell incredible and I want to get basically compliments. And so we first launched Rebel. It's inspired by Creed Aventus. Everybody knows that. This stuff is incredible. It's like it's literally like it's amazing. The amount of compliments you get from creative events was insane, and I love it, and everybody loves it. And so we figured that was going to be when we came out with the fragrance, that was going to be our inspiration, and we crushed it. Right, Rebel, amazing. The first batch that we went, and this is something else. As a business, you always have to be tweaking and adjusting and listening to your customers. And so you guys, once you tried Rebel for the first time with that first batch that we got, you guys were telling us that it wasn't strong enough. It didn't last long enough. And so what did I do? Of course, I listened to you and I went back to the lab. I said, yo, we got to turn it up. If I'm being honest, the Pete and Pedro fragrance Rebel, that's technically like, well, it's actually, we call it an EDP. All right, which is high. It's actually a perfume because of the amount of oil and the percentage of the juice that's actually in there. And so we tweaked it up to the next level, but saying a perfume is a little bit like, in my opinion, I don't know. It sounds a little bit more feminine. Anyway, so Rebel, we launched it, crushed it, right? The second batch, stronger, it's sexy, it's amazing. The second fragrance I came out with was one that I used to love. Like, I'm talking like I would get so many compliments on this, and it was Aqua de Jo, but then Performo, right? Because this stuff, a beast. It's a rock star, right? But it wasn't. I felt like it could last a little bit longer. I felt like it could be a little bit better. And so that's the other thing. Like when we say like inspired, it's not just go to a lab and be like, hey, clone this. No, it's really make it heavily inspired, but can we up the ante in terms of make it better or sexier? And so when we get a fragrance from the lab, they'll send us 5 samples. We test them, we try them. Okay, I like this, I don't like this, we got to try this. And then we'll get 5 more. You give them feedback and you get more. Basically, it's like 30 different variations and versions in order to get that last formula that we actually launch with. It's a long process, right? And so it typically, and to launch it, it's not just that. Then it's about the bottles and the sourcing and the packaging and the everything. So it takes a long time to actually launch a fragrance. But we were so pumped up from the launch of Rebel. We were like, you know what? Let's do it again. And Mike and Dave came to me. They go, what do you want to do? I go, Aqua de Jo. I love Aqua de Jo. It smells so sexy, right? And so we did it. And we basically modeled it after Aqua de Jo Performo. And it was awesome. Here's the problem. There is actually a problem. One of the reasons why these fragrances that we choose are so like popular in terms of just like here, I'm not going to get into the weeds. The deal is this, right? It wasn't as monstrous in terms of kind of like the buy-in because everybody has pretty much had Aqua de Jo, right? Or Performo or whatever it is. And so we were selling a lot of it. People were absolutely loving it. We reordered it a bunch of times, but in order to conserve capital, right, we've got to make sure that we don't have inventory that's sitting too long. And so you mentioned hair transplants a lot on your channel. What about the guys who aren't good candidates due to age? You said, we'll get there. We'll get there. Shaving your head, hell yeah, if you can shave your head and look amazing, like we'll talk about balding in a second. Anyway, long story short, Hero was awesome. Then we came out with a few other fragrances and we want to consolidate because we got word from our vendor that we basically have to order 10,000 units of every product, which is a lot of product. And so we need to get rid of some SKUs. We need to lose some SKUs that aren't like rock stars or super popular sellers. And so even though we move a lot of this, it's not enough to justify ordering another, call it $80,000 worth of inventory. That's my cost, right? And so we're discontinuing this to make way for a new fragrance. All right. So if you guys want to grab the last of the inventory, once it's gone, it's gone. We already did this with King, which was inspired by Creed Green Irish Tweed, which was an amazing fragrance, super expensive, super high end. But once again, we didn't sell enough of it to justify the big expense of keeping inventory. And so if you're interested in grabbing this, 25% off. All right. Use the code BESTFANS25 now, and when it's gone, and it is never coming back. What is coming is this. You know what it is? Icon. You want me to tell you what it's inspired by? I will. So here's the deal. Once again, back to the drawing board. I knew that I wanted to come out with a new fragrance for spring and summer. I wanted something light. I wanted something like something fresh, right? I love the fresh scents, especially in like spring and summer. But the truth is that they're very universal. You can wear a fresh fragrance year round and you're good. Now, the heavier scents, like, the Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille or, effing Fabulous, these are a little bit like richer and like heavier and a little bit more like oppressive in the hotter months, right? You don't want to wear like a super musky, heavy fragrance with lots of oud and so like in the summer. It just doesn't really match with the season, right? And clothing and everything, right? Clothing is lighter, it's fresher, it's brighter, right? Same thing with your fragrance. And so I knew that I wanted to do a lighter, brighter, fresh fragrance, right? Basically like replacing Hero, because that's what Hero is, right? Hero, Acqua di Gio Profumo, is a bright, fresh, light, sexy scent, right? And so what did I do? I went to Neiman Marcus. If you guys have ever been to Neiman Marcus, it is it is so overpriced. Like everything in there is like crazy expensive. And so anyway, I didn't know what fragrance. I'm like, I need this to be a fucking beast, right? I need it to be amazing. I need it to smell sexier than anything I've ever smelled. And so I went in there and I started smelling different fragrances, right? And they've got all the premium brands. They've got the Tom Fords. They've got the, Roja. They've got, Perfumes de Marley. They've got Creed. They've got all the super like luxe, expensive brands and houses. And so the sales associates were probably so pissed at me because I'm in there, right? I'm spraying, right? I had a list going in there. I had a list of about 30 fragrances that I wanted to smell, right? All my online research, like I looked to see what's popular, what's getting the most, positive reviews, what people are loving. And then I had a list of like 30. So I go in there and I start spraying all these fragrances on these cards. I'm smelling it. I find one. It's like, no, I like this better than this. Boom. Next one. Okay. This one. Yeah, I like this one better. And so it was this process that took me hours. I was in the store for hours smelling fragrances. By the time I left, I had a headache. All right. I also was running up to like women that I would see and be like, excuse me, could you help me with something? And they'd be like, yeah, what's that? I'm like, which one do you like better? Right. I was A/B testing them. I wanted to make sure that it was, like I said, the best. And I nailed it. We nailed it. Here it is, right? I'm actually again, I'm gonna give myself a little juice right now. Any guesses? Down below, any guesses of what it is? You guys that follow Pete and Pedro, you probably already know because we've talked about it. Melicium, wait, I can't even pronounce it, but Melicium Imperial, baby, by Creed. This fragrance, it's in the gold bottle. It is so unbelievably badass, sexy, amazing, and crazy expensive. It's like $400 or $500 a bottle. But this fragrance, it is light, it is bright. Now, the problem with Melicium Imperial is that it doesn't last as long as a lot of people want. That's the only negative feedback that the fragrance gets from the community and all these people that are into fragrances, right? Everybody agrees. It smells sexy as hell, but the projection doesn't project as well. It doesn't last as long. And so what did I do? Of course, I went to my lab. I said, hey, guys, let's figure this out. This is the inspiration fragrance, but let's turn it up. I'm talking level 12. And so, in my humble opinion, this is not a clone. This is not a copy. It is a heavily inspired version that is actually, dare I say, better than the original. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just saying. If you guys want to get on the list, we haven't dropped this yet. All right. This is early stages. We're going to be dropping it in a few months. Perfect timing for the summer. If you guys want to be added to the list, because here's the thing. The other thing that we've learned from doing a bunch of fragrances, you got to limit the supply, right? Don't have it open-ended. And so we are doing a limited run of this fragrance. And once it's gone, we're not doing it again. On to the next one. It's more of the drop scenario as opposed to like, hey, just have inventory of a product for like a super long time. And so if you guys are interested in being on the list to get notified when this drops, you're also going to get a discount, but it's going to be, like I said, for supply while supplies last and for a very limited time. We already have, and I'm just telling you, we already have 3,000 people that have signed up to be notified. And I'm just saying, we're only getting, I'm just going to be honest with you, 5,000 units. And so if you're interested, we got another few months to get on this list. If you're interested, and then we're going to shut the list down if we actually get to the point where we think we're going to sell out and not actually even be able to launch it. If you're interested in getting on the list, guys, down below, or PeteMajor.com, search for Icon. You'll be able to sign up to be notified. I'm telling you, it's going to fly. It is such an amazing fragrance. And I'm also going to take 5 bottles for myself because I can do that because I'm the boss. Hang on. Trial size. No. Not at this point. We're not doing trial size for the new fragrance. Maybe we'll change our mind, but at this point, it's gonna be just you want it, you get it. You don't, sorry. Next, let's move on. All right, something else. It's gonna be moving on. Another product that's being discontinued is this little sexy kit. All right, I might have mentioned it on the last live stream. All right, if you guys, so the problem, like I said, our manufacturer basically gave us a little bit of the finger. He's like, hey, we're going to increase your minimum order quantity to 10,000 units, which is crazy high. And some of these shampoos, are amazing, but we just don't move the volume. We've got a bunch of them, right? Not only do we have volume and hydrate and clean, we've got bold. And it also comes with 2 conditioners. It's got power and it's also got regular condition. It's a travel size sample kit that basically allows you to try the different shampoos and conditioners and try it before you actually buy the big bottle. But because our lab is giving us the business and saying no, 10,000 units, we're having to kill some of these shampoos as well in the future, and we're also going to be killing the travel pack. Like, this is it. Like, we've got a few hundred of these left. If you guys are interested, you could grab one. They are also going away. Something that's staying real quick. I'm going to get to your questions in 4 minutes. So get ready. This is one of the best products that we have. And I'm going to just pitch it real quick for you guys out there because it kind of correlates to summer. All right. Summertime, once again, hairstyles are a little bit, actually, hairstyles have been evolving, right? And this is one of the things that I love so much about hair. I always have loved hair, right? It's an evolution, right? Different seasons, different styles, different times, different guys. Right now, we live in a time, it has never been more amazing to have hair, right? We're going to talk about what to do if you don't have hair in a second. But if you've got hair, people and guys are embracing more casual, light, fresh styles, right? Not gone, but, I would say 5 years ago, right? Everybody had skin fades and quiffs, right? And their hair looked a lot more like rigid, right? Almost not like Lego hair, but it was more like tight. It was more like perfect. Now, perfection is kind of like gone. It's more about letting your locks lock, or I should say, letting your locks rock and going more natural with your texture and having less product looking hair. All right. And that's one of the things that I really love, right? I love having hair that I can do this, that'll stand up, that'll do whatever I want, but it doesn't look wet. It doesn't look greasy. I can restyle it throughout the day, and it's amazing. How am I doing it? Well, the sea salt spray, a pre-styler, it's going to add texture to your hair. It's going to give it a little bit more like volume and weight. If you're not using a sea salt spray as a pre-styler, you need to try it because I didn't believe in this stuff when I first basically heard of it, right? Years ago, somebody was like, oh, you need to try sea salt spray. I'm like, come on. No way. It doesn't do anything. And then I tried one and I was like, damn, my hair looks amazing. It doesn't need as much product. So anyway, sea salt spray, if you haven't tried it, do it. Right here, texture powder. Quite possibly one of the best products that we sell. And we sell a lot of great ones. But this stuff is amazing, right? You don't need much of it, right? In dry hair, after you shower or whatever, towel dry your hair. You want to spray a little sea salt spray, fine. Towel dry it, blow it dry, let it dry, right? And then all you're going to do is sprinkle, right? I can't really say, sprinkle a little bit in it and work it through your hair, all right? If you want volume, if you want texture, whether or not you're going with the French crop that's got a lot of texture and movement in it, right? Or a Caesar or curly, long locks. Gentlemen, this is a perfect addition and you should try it. The reviews on Amazon have been insane. The reviews on our website have been insane. This is a product that is rocking it, right? Right now, this is our 3rd best-selling product and we just launched it literally like a year ago. It's crazy. Texture powder is the new thing. If you're not trying it, you should try it. Now, why don't I get to some of your questions? Hold on, what do you say? Icon says about already sold out. Well, it says, yeah, right. Icon will say right now that it's sold out because we don't have it in stock. Just go and sign up And then when we get it in stock, boom, we put the number in there in terms of like 5,000 units, and the email gets triggered at that point. So you guys are going to be first to get notified. And so even if we have like 6,000, 7,000, I'm planning, my goal is to sell out in the first like 2 days. That's my goal with this product. And if I do that, I'm happy. You guys are happy, and we'll move on to the next fragrance. I've already got the next fragrance in my mind, what I want, because I got basically so many so many different fragrances the other day when I went to test this, or I guess it was actually like months ago. Anyway, let's get to some questions. You guys have questions? Anything? It's open. I'm here. I'm for you. Let's see. The icon page, but I'm in Canada. Yep. The problem with fragrance, let me tell you about fragrance. In terms of the industry, it's very difficult to ship internationally because it has alcohol in it, and it basically gets deemed as hazardous. And so we are still right now diligently trying to figure out distribution in Europe and even like in Canada. And so unfortunately there is limit to who can actually purchase it. I'm sorry. I wish we could change it. I promise you. I wish that we could do a better job in terms of getting it, but we're still trying to figure out a way. But anyway, get on the list anyway, because maybe we'll see what happens between now and then. We are working with some companies overseas and across borders to try to figure out that equation, because honestly, I'm leaving a lot of money on the table. and I'm just telling you, right? We haven't sold anybody Rebel outside of the US, right? I can't even imagine if we like basically had this distributed like other places, we'd crush it. Anyway, Aftershave Splash. It's an amazing product that feels so fresh without alcohol. Why is it gone, please? So, John, great question. Soft putty versus powder? What do you mean soft putty? Okay, John was asking about the Aftershave Splash. So here's the deal. Once again, it comes down to smart business. We at Pete and Pedro have never done a big shave business. It's never been like our core. And there was a time where what we did in terms of growth was we just started adding a ton of products, right? Instead of one body wash, we had five. Instead of this, we had that. Like we just started adding a bunch of products, and really sort of we went real wide with our product line. And the truth is that all of those SKUs, right? Think of it like this, right? If you're in business, all those SKUs or all those products that are on the shelf, it's dollar bills just sitting there. And I can't use that money to pay my staff, to pay my rent, to pay me, to pay anything while those products are on the shelf. I got to sell them. I got to move them. And the problem is that if it's taking me a super long time to move through something because we're not selling at scale or at the volume, it just at this point doesn't make sense financially for us to keep all these smaller auxiliary products. Even though they're amazing and I love them, I've got to be very mindful and diligent about respecting the cash, right? And the cash flow, that's the key, right? Cash flow in any small business is the lifeblood. You've got to make sure you've got a good handle on it. And so for us, because our vendor gave us the business and said, yo, 10,000 minimums, right? Which is a lot for some of these products. We're having to pay for that up front. And so do the math, right? If a product costs me $10 and I got to order 10,000, that's literally $100,000 of my money I've got to put out there that I can't use for anything like coming out with new products or doing anything cool or advertising or marketing or anything until I sell it. And that's with one product, just to give you an example. So as you can see, we've got to make some hard calls. And even though some of these products are amazing, we've got to kill them for now until we can figure out a better solution or we get a better handle on the future of our business, because our business is great. Our business is strong, but it doesn't mean that we aren't going to have some headaches and hurdles in the future. And if we do, we need to make sure that we are in a financial position that we can execute and basically adapt to the hurdles that come up. And that in business is very, very important. You've got to have enough cash to actually fix problems that come up, that always come up. All right. Are you going to make it possible to buy a ring like yours again? No. So I used to have the M Apparel, or it was actually Enemy. It was first M Apparel. No, what was it? I sold these rings on iamalpham.com. For those of you who've been around for a long time, I used to have a membership website, and then I made it free, but I was monetizing it through products, and I was selling the signet rings, right? And so when I created Enemy, it basically was a natural fit, right? Accessories, sunglasses. I came out with some bracelets that were badass, some wallets, but also these rings. The rings were expensive because they were custom made by the dude that makes my ring. And so it was expensive. The other problem is that there wasn't a lot of margin for us. And so it was one of those things where, once again, you got to make the hard calls when you're in business, right? You've got to make the hard calls. And so I made the call, you know what? This isn't our main competency. I don't want to be in the ring business. It's really not scalable because they're all custom. And so we got to, once again, we got to kill things that aren't moving and moving the needle for us. And so the rings, unfortunately, another experience or sort of example of, if it isn't moving and it's not making us money, we need to get rid of it. Does it make sense? I'm sure you guys understand. But they are badass. Let's see. Let me read some of these comments. Tej questions. Do you use the retinol stick before or after super serum? Or do you just eliminate super serum using the retinol stick? So the retinol stick, do I have one around here? No, I was out, so I took it home. The retinol stick for Tej Hanley is a monster product. It is one of the best, most innovative things that we have done at Tej Hanley, other than come out with Tej Hanley, right? The whole system thing, we were first in that. And anyway, the retinol stick, retinol is basically it's a vitamin at different strengths, though, can do amazing things for your face and your skin. And so retinol, all the spicy senoritas are using it, right? Everybody's been using retinol for years, all the women. But men really are kind of late to the game in terms of skincare, but also retinol. And there really aren't that many retinol products on the market that are designed specifically for men. Men's skin is slightly different than women's skin. And so you need to tweak the formula a little bit. So we have this amazing chemist at Tej that we basically said, hey, we really feel like we need to come out with something cutting edge, that's effective as hell. And so the retinol stick, basically it's this little stick. It looks like a deodorant and you wipe it on your face. Now, the way I use it, I'll just tell you, I use my retinol stick at night. All right. After I wash my face, after I scrub, I'm scrubbing in the morning typically. Before I add my eye cream, my everything else, I will swipe on the retinol basically like across my forehead, around here, right? I don't get it up underneath my eyes, right? You want to be careful of that skin. That skin is super sensitive and delicate, so you got to be careful. And retinol, it's a seriously effective product and if you're sensitive, it can cause redness and irritation. So you got to be careful. And if there is any of that, back it off. But anyway, I'll swipe it right here, across here, and then I'll do my neck, right? Kind of like all over other than my beard. And then I let it dry. I go feed my cats for about 15 minutes. And then I come back and then I apply everything else. So I go my super serum on top. I do my eyes. I do my PM moisturizer, right? And so that's how I use it. And, so yeah, you can use it in conjunction with whatever level. I just put that on first, let it dry, let it chill, and then apply stuff over top of it. Anyway, I got to get up to some of these questions. What's up? Hold on. Man, you guys are asking some good questions. Hold on. Where are we? Okay. Soft putty versus powder. I don't know what that actually means. They're both awesome. Get them both. Could you make it possibly? Okay. Well, dude, hey. All right. Next one. John, I mean the hair product. Which one is better for styling? Oh, better for styling, the putty or the powder. So a lot of times will use both. I will do the salt, and then it really boils down to how natural do you want the hair to look, right? I feel like the soft putty is the best hair styling product on the market, period. Now, is it better than putty? I think I love soft putty because it's so easy to emulsify, right? It's creamy. It goes in super smooth. You don't ever have the issue of one of the problems with putty, and I'm just going to throw myself under the bus, is that if your hands aren't super dry, right? And you go to emulsify it, it can smear and it can be a little bit hard to really distribute. And you got to distribute, you got to emulsify to really activate the product. Well, soft putty, which was an accident by our manufacturer that just switched one of the ingredients, it was all of a sudden I was like, damn, this shit is amazing. It's buttery smooth and it still holds incredible and it's matte finish. And so I feel honestly, I use both. I also will, depending on the hairstyle, day that I'm feeling, sometimes if I don't want to put a lot of hair product in, I'll just sprinkle a little texture powder, give myself a little bit of business. Typically my hair will be down a little bit more, but it gives it enough volume that I can do something with it. And I've done a bunch of videos where my hair is completely dry and I like will sprinkle the texture powder. It's a very natural looking thing. But sometimes I do still rock my putty. I also sometimes will rock the salt, the putty, and then afterwards I'll sprinkle a little texture in order to just basically make it a little bit more like volume, a little bit more like life, because that's what happens. It's an amazing product. And so I use both of them, but yeah, they're incredible. Next question, Robert. Let's see. I've recently started wet shaving with an artisan soap and DE razor, and my skin is so much better with no irritation. Would you consider going more into this? Sure, I would. I'll explain why too. Where do I have one? Yeah, I do. Hang on. You guys digging this live stream? You want me to do more of it? Should we make it once a month? All right. So here's the deal. Wet shaving, whether or not I'm just going to say, like, if you're using like a straight razor, like you're the man. Like straight razor shaving is a different level of like, just like it takes a little bit more time and it takes a lot more like, a lot more expertise. A safety razor though, is amazing, right? And John, are you using a safety razor or are you using like a straight razor? Which DE razor? DE. I'm not sure what DE razor is. And my skin is so much better with no irritation. Would you consider going? Anyway, I'm assuming you're probably using a safety razor. The safety razor is a blade. It goes in what looks like a razor, and it's super easy to use. Very, very little like cuts and nicks. You just can't go like sideways or whatever. The reason why that is the preferred method for dudes that have any skin issue, irritation, ingrown hairs, razor burn, razor bumps is because the cartridge razor, when you look at it, right now, there are cartridge razors you can buy that are a single blade. Did you know that? They still make them. I think Bic makes one. Yeah, they're cheap. They're like disposable razors, a single blade. If you're somebody that doesn't want to do the whole like safety razor thing, you can actually find disposable razors with a single blade. All right. The reason why these things, technology's changed a lot of things for the better, right? Cartridge razors are one of those things where they basically just started adding a bunch of blades, right? The Mach 27. Every time you stroke that thing down your face, as many blades as you've got there, that's how many strokes it's like going over. So if you had a single blade and you got 6 blades in here, that's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over the same place. And when you're doing it, right, you're pressing and you're actually going and cutting the hair below the skin surface. And so have you guys heard of the company Bevel? Bevel started, basically, I remember when they reached out to me the first time. It was years ago. And, excuse me, allergies. Anyway, Bevel reached out and they were like, hey, we got this, we're starting this company, but it was really geared towards African Americans, right? African American men that really suffer with, can suffer extensively with bumps, ingrown hairs, irritation. And the reason, not only is the blade of a standard razor going to cut so like almost like below the skin, and you're having so many strokes over it, which if you're prone to irritation, that's going to happen. The other problem is that the hair curls a little bit differently, right? As opposed to like, pasty white dudes like me, right? My hair grows straight out of the follicle or the pore, not the pore, the follicle, right? But African American hair, it curls. And so what'll happen is before it gets out of the skin, if it's shaved below, it'll curl as it grows. And if it doesn't break the surface or come out cleanly, it just keeps growing and it becomes inflamed and infected. And like I've seen some dudes that it breaks my heart how bad it is. Now there are things that you can do to treat that, but that's the reason. The single blade is a cleaner, less offensive to your skin and your facial hair way to remove hair. Now, certain areas of your body, I think a cartridge razor is great. Like my balls, I'm not using a safety razor on my balls. I'm using a cartridge razor, but I don't really suffer from ingrown hairs there. Also, like my chest, my arms, even my legs. Like the skin on my face, though, I actually don't shave. I will shave underneath there a little bit and up on my cheek. Sometimes I'll just use my Brio Beardscape, the separate attachment, or sometimes I'm in the shower, I'll just grab my wife's razor and boom, 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 pop it off. Another pro tip, if you're not somebody that wants to bring in a bunch of shave cream into the shower, like I will also, and this is just a little hack, use either conditioner. Conditioner works amazing, or shampoo, right? After I lather up my shampoo, I'm letting it chill. I'll just basically go like this and then put it there, let it set for a second, and then I'll do my business. I don't have like crazy sensitive skin, but conditioner, another way to it's conditioner is next level. You just can't use too much. Don't use too much. A small, subtle amount is just fine. You just need enough glide, right? That's also something that you should look into. All right, let's see what other questions we have. I'm talking so much, I'm out of breath. Let's see. Any more questions? Okay, here's some. Thank you. I appreciate that. Beer Bros and Bon Appetit. Uh, Chick Magnet TV show. Rick, man, that was that. You want to hear something? You want to hear something? It's crazy. So the Chick Magnet was a show that I did with Marnie. We filmed 3 episodes. I only launched 2. I still have an episode that's finished. That's on my unlisted YouTube channel. That's finished. And I just never launched it because the views were so bad. I was like, dude, like it was, and that's the thing. Like when you have a YouTube channel, right? It is brutal. It is brutal to basically when you put out something that you really put time and energy in. And that's the thing. Like if I do something about, how to make your wiener bigger, I'm going to get a bunch of views. If I do something like cool, like the Chick Magnet, or even like store style breakdown that I was doing, like the views just sucked. And it's like, if I'm not getting, that's like how you get like affirmation of like, hey, great job. People are watching it. Well, people just didn't watch it. And so it was a good show though. And Marnie's amazing. She's a doll. I love Marnie. And it was good. And maybe I'll launch that other episode. I've got it. It's literally just sitting there. I paid for it. All right, let's see. Message retracted. Alpha Gaming 00. Okay. Just made the order. I can't wait to have fresh balls. Brother, your balls, you're like, when I say fresh, I'm talking like next level fresh. Let's see. Can you talk more about the glycolic pads? Is this about T. Hanley? So the glycolic pads, another product that we recently launched at T. Hanley. Is another like cutting edge. It's soaked with like, there are 3 types of acids on the glycolic pad. Basically, it's about cleansing, it's about evening skin tone, and it's a great product. We just launched it. The retinol stick is also amazing. If you're somebody that suffers with like super oily skin, I would definitely check out the glycolic pads. They are very effective and awesome. Let's see, what type of aftercare do you recommend after shaving Big Al and the boys? Also armpits. So I don't do anything other than moisturize, right? Like I moisturize my body, right? After the shower, one of my go-tos is moisture, right? You got to moisturize your skin, not just your face. And that's one of the things that I don't think guys talk about enough, but moisturizing your body. And after you shave, it's never been more important, after a hot shower, after you shave, to moisturize. You've got to replenish some of the moisture that was lost through the process of taking a hot shower, if you're taking hot showers, and shaving, right? And so for me, I will just, with my moisturizer, I use Tiege moisturizer, put it all over my body, my Big Al, the boys, chill, let it dry for a second, and then I'll powder, right? Now, on days that I don't shave, I'm not like, I'm still moisturizing, but anyway, yeah, aftercare is pretty much like moisturizing. Nothing like aftershave or anything. I don't personally use that all that much because I don't have super sensitive skin. But yeah, aftercare, just moisturizing. Something else though, exfoliation. That's the other thing you got to make sure you do every time you shower. If you manscape anything, it's important that you exfoliate, right? It's important that you exfoliate your face, but also your body, like your chest and your junk and your legs, your armpits or whatever. It's critical that you do. And the reason is pretty simple because once again, it's about keeping those pores and those follicles free so that the hair can grow back and not get trapped and bumpy and ingrown. Armpits, I don't shave my armpits. I just trim them with a grooming tool. I don't like having like super clean armpits. It just feels a little bit funny. And so I just actually use my clippers to take the length down. Another great clipper, if you guys are looking for something, is the Peanut. It's by Wall. It's white. That's another great tool. It's small and it does a really good job. I am not the biggest fan of the manscaping products, just in general. I think they're good. I don't think they're amazing. And but the company is incredible. They've done an amazing job of bringing something to market that was definitely needed. Sea salt spray, then argan oil, or argan oil first? Sea salt spray first, argan oil second. The question is like, how do you do this, right? So for me, I will do the sea salt spray. The other thing with our sea salt spray is that we've infused it with sea kelp, which actually helps and acts as a barrier, so you're not stripping moisture out of it. But for me, if I'm looking for that luscious, sexy, I'll do the sea salt spray, let it dry, right? And then I'll take a few drops. I'm doing it now. A few drops of argan oil, not much. You really don't need much. It's literally like liquid gold, right? And then I will run it through my hair, right? And really, what's going to happen at first when you do it, it's going to look a little bit wet, a little bit shiny. But here's the deal, it starts to get absorbed, right? It gets absorbed by the hair, helping to hydrate it, helping to nourish it, helping to basically smooth the cuticle. And then in like literally in like 10 minutes, it won't look like shiny. It'll basically be absorbed. It's just going to look like not, it just looks healthy. And so for me, I go sea salt spray first and then argan oil. But that is a great question. Uh, Long hair. Which of the hair products do you suggest for long hair? It depends on the style, really, that you're going for, right? If you've got long hair, when you're doing something really natural looking, the cream is a leave-in conditioner is great. But also using a sea salt spray. One of the problems with long hair is that if you're not using anything, it can look super flat, right? It doesn't have enough body. Typically what's going to happen, a lot of women, the reason why they all talk about like beach hair, right? Because after the beach, you've got the salt in the air, it's getting in there. You might go in the water. Most of them don't go in the water, but the salt is in the air. There's just a lot of salt that's basically like getting into the hair. Or you're actually going in the water and you're getting, salt, and then it dries and it's all curly and luscious and volume, right? Well, the reason is because of that salt, right? And they like it because after you shower, after you shampoo, after you condition, a lot of times when it dries, it'll dry a little bit flat, right? But getting in there and breaking it up and doing a little bit of that action is going to give it a little bit more volume, a little bit more life. But for me, what I would recommend, sorry, I'm belching because I'm I'm talking so much and not swallowing. I guess I'm swallowing air. The other thing is that the salt, the sea salt spray, little few squirts of that, just will give it a little something. You could also honestly like this. A lot of guys use it for short hair, but it's great for getting in there, a little bit in there, and just running it all through. It's all about giving your hair something, right? No hair product doesn't typically look very good, and the reason is because, well, it looks flat, it looks lifeless. And if you're not conditioning, it also is probably going to look a little bit dry. And you need to be able to control it, right? Curly hair, a little bit better. But if you're not using some product to control the curls, a lot of times curly hair can get frizzy. And so using some type of product like an argan oil to smooth it, or a cream, which is a leave-in conditioner, you don't need much, just a little bit, right? In wet hair, or when it's dry, you can put it in. It's amazing how much better your hair will look like literally instantly. And so really, unfortunately, there is no like one size fits all solution to everybody's hair and hairstyle. You really need to figure out what works for you and try a lot of, try different things, try different products, try different styling techniques. All right. Like when I like, if I'll do sea salt spray and then I'll put a little bit of putty in my hair wet while it's still damp and then dry it. And then I'll add a little bit more. All right. If I just do the putty, or if I just do the sea salt spray, dry my hair, and actually use the putty after that, it looks totally different, right? It performs differently. It's about trying different products. It's about experimenting, and it's really about finding what works for you. Another pro tip I'd just like to give you real quick about haircuts. If you're somebody that wants to experiment with a new style, or you basically are just, you want a better cut, right? The cut has a lot to do with how your hair looks and how the product will actually perform. One of the unfortunate things, barbers are amazing for fading, right? Fading hair, they do it better than anybody. What they are not great with is the top of the hair, right? If you go into a barber shop, you're going to see a dude, he's got like one or two pairs of scissors, and then he's got a bunch of like shavers and trimmers and stuff like that, because that's really what they focus on, right? And then up top, they'll comb it over, they'll cut it, they'll comb it back, they'll cut it, they'll pull it up, cut, and they're done, right? It's quick, it's easy, but there's not much texture or separation that was put in through the layering and the texturizing process. When you actually, if you want to try something, go to a stylist, go to a high-end stylist. I'm not talking about like a great clips. I'm talking about like invest a little bit of money and go get a haircut, a proper haircut by a stylist. You are not going to get a super great fade. Some of them can fade fine. And I'm just saying though, and I'm being honest. But what they're going to do, if you've got longer hair, if you've got long hair, or if you're trying to grow it out, let them help you basically with the cut. The cut is honestly, it's such a game changer when you actually experience a better haircut. They're going to put different layers. They may use a razor, they may use thinning shears or texturizing shears, right? They're going to do things a little bit differently. But like I said, they're not going to be as masterful as a barber is in terms of in terms of fading. But just throwing it out there. What was the question? I don't even know what the question was. What type of which of the hair products? Let me see. Double-edged safety razor. There it is, barbershop. Yep. I'm not saying that barbers can't cut hair, but I'm just saying if you're not happy with your haircut, go try a stylist. If you're not happy with your fade, go see a barber. Let's see what else. At what point do you recommend shaving your head off? Okay, over a hair transplant. Transplants aren't always successful. No, they're not always successful. Most of them are now, though. So hair transplants, I do have some experience with this. I've never had one, but I've seen one in person, and I have dealt with a lot of dudes and know a lot of guys that have had them done. In the old days, right? They used to do like hair. Okay, and the other thing is they've never been more natural looking. Now, and I'm not saying I'm not going to get into the whole turkey thing, but the deal is you need a great doctor that's almost like an artist in order to do it, right? There's something called the FUE, follicular unit extraction. And they basically are going into the back of your hair because the hairs around your temples and around the back of your hair never fall out ever. They are pre-designed, like and genetically programmed to stay forever. You know, up top, that's where you basically run into balding a lot of times or thinning or receding. There's also a big myth that it's just genetic, right? You can't do anything about it. It's not the case, right? There's a lot more information coming out now that shows that there's so many different environmental and lifestyle factors that play a factor in, losing your hair. But hair transplants nowadays are they're good. They're much better than they used to be. In the old days, they would take a clump of hair and basically, stick them in. The other thing is that you used to be able to see, right? They would do like a strip, which is still an option. I would not recommend that. They basically cut a strip out, they'll sew it together, and then they'll extract the hairs from there and then transplant them, right? The follicular unit extraction, it takes a little bit longer. You're laying there and they're extracting literally like hair by hair by hair by hair by hair. And then there are people sitting there under a microscope that are dissecting them, breaking them up into single hairs, double hairs, triple hairs, and hairs that actually have four follicles that have four hairs growing out. Whether or not you realize this or not, your follicles grow different amounts of hair. It's not just one follicle, one hair, and they'll separate them. And then starting at the front, they then will actually start with the ones and then fill in with the twos, the threes, the fours going back. It's to create a more natural hairline. Anyway, the unsuccessful hair transplants are becoming a lot less. Like they're a lot more like few and far between. The other thing is a lot of the medications, the two primarily are Propecia and finasteride. I'm sorry, finasteride is Propecia. That works really well when combined with some type of topical like a minoxidil. So there are things out there, but you got to catch it early. But it does definitely work. In terms of like sexual side effects, that is not a big a deal as you think it is, right? Propecia was first discovered to regrow hair in dudes because it was a prostate medication. All right. But the difference is for prostate, they give you 5 milligrams. And for Propecia, what you take, orally for, hair therapeutic use, it's actually 1 milligram. So it's not as big. So that's why like there are some side effects from some guys. But typically that's not that big of a deal. But when is it time to shave your head? Basically, whenever you're ready. If you are tired of worrying about it and you think you're going to look good and I say do it. Now, a few things you can do. Take it short, buzz cut, crew cut first, and just as it goes, take it shorter and shorter. But the other thing you can do is grow a beard, right? Some facial hair. If you can grow a beard or wear a pair of glasses or some type of cool, interesting frame, just to draw the eye down. There are so many dudes that I see that have unbelievably sexy bald heads. They've got great looks. And really, I'm envious to some degree, right? Because it seems like it'd be like an easier way to go about it, right? I just know that I've got these pointy little ears, I've got a cone head, and I love my hair and I think I look better with hair. And so I want mine, but you just have to decide for yourself. Once it starts to go to the point of, always worrying about it, you just got to decide, what am I going to do? Right. If you're thinking that shaving it is an option, then just do it. Like, try it out. Why not? I'll bet you look amazing and I'll bet you're going to love it. And it's also at that point a lot freeing and less stressful and you don't have to worry about it. And so that's what I would recommend. I used to use 100-year-old straight razor. Fingers. Anyway, guys, it's an hour. I got to go see my cat. Would you ever start a clothing line? No, I would not. I've tried it. It's too terrible. We talk about inventory issues, right? Go join the White Label Empire or the Alpha Empire YouTube channel. I talk all about business. And I talk about the 3 businesses I would never start, the 3 worst side hustles. And one of them is indeed an apparel company for a bunch of reasons, and I lay it out there. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to wrap things up. Remember, thank you. It's because of you that we are here. It's not because I'm smart. It's because I was willing to act. It was because I was willing to do something and jump without knowing all the answers, which is something that is sometimes a little bit rare because a lot of times fear and the unknown and the uncertainty does hold you back. But I was willing to jump and try it. And you guys have been there. We've evolved as a company. We started, private label, white label. We have evolved as we've grown. We've been able to basically take it all, custom formulations, and it's because of you guys. And so I just want to say thank you so much for being here, hanging out with me for an hour, being a Pete and Pedro loyalist. And if you're interested in grabbing, like I said, anything we talked about or anything that Pete and Pedro sells for the next hour or two, use the discount code BESTFANS25 for 25% off. And if you guys dig this, we'll do it again. Thanks for everything, gentlemen and ladies. If there are any out there, we love you. Thank you so much. Bye.